Hello, 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 and welcome, my Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your twin flame contract read for May, June 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angelo, Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, and very, very happy to be working for you today. If you're new to my channel, please do like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, because I'm putting out content practically every day. Like, I don't think I miss a day, because this is what I do for a living now. It's kind of cool, digging it. And certainly feel free to comment in the comment section below as you see fit. This is a general read, so please take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Check your other signs. That's why I'm keeping these readings relatively short, trying to shoot for around 30 minutes. Only doing 13 cards in the two spreads that I'm doing. I'll explain that in a minute. Because upload times have been ridiculous, where I used to be able to put out like, 7 or 8 readings at a day. Now I'm doing like 3, 4 with some supplemental stuff, doing live streams in the morning and in the evening to help us get through stuff. Sometimes either or, but you know what I'm saying. We're taking it as it comes. That being said, this is a twin flame contract reading. Twin flame contract is a soul contract make prior to coming into these bodies, and different than soulmates. You're here to teach each other. Think like the letter T. Twin flame. Teaching can be turbulent, can be traumatic, can be triggery, right? You teach each other how to love yourselves. Did you catch that? You teach each other how to care for yourselves. In other words, you can't give each other the love that the other one wants, but you can certainly give them the love that they need, which is often tough love, right? Which is often really not what they want. I always use the example of my dad and I. My dad and I were twin flame contracts, which of course indicates you have more than one, and they're not all sexual romantic. A bunch of mine have been sexual romantic, but my dad was never going to be happy with me being a gay male, no matter what I said or did, unless I was a heterosexual Republican Catholic. I am none of those things. He loved me, but he was never going to give me the acceptance that I needed, which is why I had to learn how to do it myself, right? That's what he taught me. Taught me how to accept and love myself in that particular way. Makes sense? So regardless of the form of these twin flame relationships, the more you learn from them, the more you become the mate of your own soul. Nice way to look at it. And then you become a better soulmate. For your soulmate contracts, where you help each other heal. And you can give each other the love that you want, because you've already given yourself the love that only you can give you. Does that make sense? I hope so. So we're going to be looking at it like a contract. The Divine Feminine, Party A, on this side, and the Divine Masculine, Party B, on this side. Not Cardi B, Party B. Think contract language. But masculine, feminine here has nothing to do with biological gender. It's all about energetic dynamic. I myself consider myself a divine feminine. If you're not new to this channel, you've heard me say this 10,000 times, it feels like. So if you'll focus on your breath and I will focus on my breath, we will both be so focused in the present moment, breathing the chi, the prana, the guidance, and the grace, that I'll be able to get you some clarity and some information, and you'll be able to feel what resonates, leave what doesn't, and then you can go check your other signs and do the same. Cool. Let's do this. Starting with the Caroline Myss Archetype deck. Every deck that I read is in the description box at the bottom. I'll call them out as I go to give credit where credit is due. Cool? Breathe. The cards have already been blessed before I hit the record button, so let's do this. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, I need 2 cards, one for the Divine Feminine and one for the Divine Masculine in the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract for May, June 2020. Please, one for the Divine Feminine. Felt that one loud and clear. And please, one for the Divine Masculine. Brilliant. Just popped right into my hands. Love when it does that. So archetypes are neutral. The way these decks explain them, there's a shadow and a light attribute. The shadow is usually triggery and tricky, like a twin flame contract, but it is what you are learning to heal in some way, shape, or form. If you're not sure which one you are, because sometimes we can relate to both, don't worry, there are more cards coming. There are 13 cards in this spread. These are just the first 2. All right, and I can see how one of them might be tricky to tell. Well, the Divine Feminine, we've got the Rescuer archetype, which is a member of the Healing family of archetypes. And if I get that close enough, yeah, it pops the light off so it doesn't blind me through most of the reading. It's hard to look straight. Look into the light, Caroline. The other one is the Nature Child archetype, and this is why this might be a little tricky, because everyone has the Child archetype, but not everybody has the Nature Child archetype, but it's very possible both might. So let's start with our Divine Feminine ladies first. The shadow attribute of the Rescuer archetype assures that the rescued will always reciprocate. Assumes that the rescued will reciprocate. In other words, you rescue somebody with the assumption that, well, then they're going to rescue me right back. That's a hidden agenda. A lot of the shadow stuff is about hidden agenda, sometimes even hidden to ourselves. Keeps the rescued one needy. Baron Munchausen, please pick up the white courtesy telephone, right? That's not really rescuing. That's trapping someone so you have power over them. You can see the shadow part of that. The light attribute provides strength and support to others in crisis. We see a lot of that going on right now on planet Earth, considering what we're going through. And by the way, I'm well aware of what we're going through. I'm just not talking about it on YouTube. Acts out of love with no expectation of reward. So there you really have that Divine Feminine Rescuer. And by the way, just because you don't rescue people, how many people are doing animal rescue, right? Even if they are not literally rescuing the animals and, you know, taking care of them themselves, they're donating. Like, that's a big part of who they are. So to really take this archetype past the mind and really go into the soul, because it is a soul power, an archetype, how does that resonate? That's why breathe, stay in the present moment, so you'll be able to feel what resonates, what doesn't. The child archetype, like I said, everyone has the child archetype. We were all children. It's one of the 4 survival archetypes: the child, the victim, the saboteur, the prostitute. Everybody has those. It's how we learn how to survive. This one has a bit of a more specific flavor, as all of the sub-archetypes within the pattern do have. The shadow attribute: tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. I mean, I knew a kid like that growing up, wasn't me, but I knew a kid like that growing up who was just very, very cruel, like, to animals, let alone, I'm sure as an adult now, probably to people now, unless they got therapy. The light attribute: friendships with animals, communication with nature spirits. Well, I don't know so much about nature spirits, but boy, do I have friendships with animals. My 3 cats, my 3 boys, my 3 sons, Sebastian, Balthazar, and Melchior, they're my boys. I'm their mama. Oh, and today is Mother's Day when I'm doing this. And why am I mama? I'm a Divine Feminine, plus cats can't say daddy, but they can say mama. It's good enough for me, right? So yeah, I have a nice dose of the Nature Child archetype, but have no planets in Sagittarius, so yay, not me. But there we have our couple, and by the way, a Rescuer and a Nature Child, I mean, could have a lot in common there in terms of what? Animal rescue, right? Or environmentalism, right? That could be another aspect if you're trying to conserve nature and, you know, picketing and stuff like that. Save the whales, right? Anything that you're saving or rescuing, kind of dealio. So, like I said, let's get some more cards. We're going to take 5 from the Daughters of the Moon Tarot, and 5 from the Mythic Tarot. This one for the Divine Feminine, that for the Divine Masculine, in a lovely little deal called the Element Spread. Take a nice deep breath. My goddesses, please. 5 cards. Element Spread for this Divine Feminine Rescuer archetype in this Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for May, June 2020, please. Element of fire, please. What does she desire? Element of earth. What does she have to help her get what she desires? Element of air. What is What is she thinking? Element of water. What is she feeling? And, hey, sliding all over the place. And element of spirit. What is the voice of her soul in this soulmate contract? Let's look. Rescuer archetype wants some aspect of the card of the Empress, probably to be married, probably to be fertile, to give birth in some way, shape, or form. Now, today is Mother's Day. I did a live stream about it this morning. That, you know, mother is an archetype as well. There is actually a card in this deck, the Caroline Myss archetype deck, the mother archetype, light and shadow. I read that card so that people could get the energetic schemata of it all. I have the mother archetype in my mix somewhere. I tend to be more mothering than fathering, right? But when we're looking at the Empress, there is that piece about fertility there, but also abundance and wealth. It is ruled by Venus, but it is very earthy in that sense. So if you think Taurus, the sign of Taurus is usually associated with the Empress, but as well as Libra, that Venusian Venus influence there, probably wants to be part of a divine couple. Usually the Empress wants her Emperor, and this I do consider the divine feminine card in its totality, because it is the conglomeration of all of the queens in the deck. In this deck, because it doesn't do Knight, Queen, and King, it does Maiden, Mother, Crone. These would be all of the mothers as one. Cool. What does she have to help her get that? Well, interesting. The Four of Cups in this deck called sorrow, but it need not always manifest as sorrows. It can be moodiness. It can be emotional release. It can be about emotional discontent. Now, how could that help her become the Empress? Well, you got to feel it to heal it, right? A time of emotional purification is afoot for all of us, right? To embrace what we're feeling, particularly as a divine feminine, she could be empathic, right? So it might be her really loving herself, loving her emotions like the children within her, right? That our thoughts in our bodies manifest emotions. It is sort of like having these children that live inside of us. Now, I haven't forgot, we've got the nature child over here. So there might be something holographic going on here. There might be something empathic going on here. But where she is right now, she's not so very happy in the relationship that she's in. The Four of Cups, fours are generally about stability and rest, right? Like even numerologically, the fours are usually about, before the fives, which are usually change. So there may be some emotional integration going on here for her, but definitely a water element at rest and getting ready to come into motion, unless that really is that sorrow, that loss, that grief. And as we see so often in the Four of Cups, 3 cups spilled, 1 cup full. Behind her, there might be some grieving going on here, and in that grieving process, maybe something's gone, right? Maybe something has been lost. What is she thinking? Well, here we've got the Seven of Cups in this deck called jealousy, though when we see it in the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, it's those cups in the sky. I call them castles in the sky. The things that we think will make us happy, right? Particularly in this element of air. So if she is experiencing any kind of jealousy, it's probably as a result of some emotional dissatisfaction going on in her life. But here's what I've learned about jealousy. Yeah, it's an emotion we all try to avoid and pretend that's not there. But when we push it down, it tends to take us over in really toxic ways, not to mention what it does to our cell tissue in the long run. Definitely it affects our health. Envy, which is sort of jealousy times 1,000, is the deadly sin of the third eye. There are 7 deadly sins, 7 chakras in the body, if you follow. So here's the thing, when we embrace our jealousy, not acting on it, don't key anybody's car, but you know, when we allow ourselves to feel it, what it usually is this emotional child in our heart that's like, when's it my turn? How come they have that and I don't? It's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. Which is also an intuitive hint that what they want is on their way, but they have to process some of this emotion. They have to kind of love themselves as they are in order to build the emotional, energetic infrastructure to receive that which they want. Because the Empress ain't no joke. I feel like she could have that, but with a rescuer archetype, you see, has she rescued this nature child And there's some jealousy about the freedom that this nature child might have to maybe come and go, come and go, come and go. Maybe not so much physically, but maybe from their relationship that way. Or maybe giving, and I have to say his and hers just to keep it balanced in my mind, divine masculine, divine masculine, divine feminine, has nothing to do with gender. That's going to play itself out differently depending on who's watching this. But maybe he is giving his affections elsewhere. Again, is this romantic sexual? Maybe, maybe not. But, you know, jealousy and the Empress already, I don't know. Maybe she wants to mother this child. Maybe this is the mother, a mother and a child. Like, I mean, it can play itself out all sorts of different ways. So let's keep going here. I need more cards down to be sure. Well, this is her third out of 4 water cards, right? Oh no, this is Pentacle. It's just that they're at the well. I'm sorry. So this is the 4 of Pentacles. So security. So what's odd about this, she's got 2 4s, again, numbers of rest and in this case stability, is feeling emotionally stable, but is thinking emotional thoughts that may be about jealousy, envy, or if we really want to go back to the Rider-Waite version, like fantasizing about, well, could have this, could be that, could be that, could be that, could be all of it, and the side of fries, right? So, I mean, that certainly changes the dynamic of the reading there, and certainly we want to see that kind of emotional stability and security in the element of water. If the element of fire is to wanting to be the Empress and experience something stable, fertile, perhaps matrimony, or at least a committed relationship as an Emperor, then really what she has here is some emotional release to kind of deal with. We'll see. I feel like it'll make more sense once we get his cards on the table, but let's get her last card. Yeah. The voice of the soul is criticism. The 9 of Blades. Now, if you think of the 9 of Swords, again, in the Rider-Waite Tarot, it's right in bed with those swords, sort of like nightmare scenarios, all in the mind. Yeah, but here the word criticism isn't necessarily talking about being overtly negative or critical, like naggy, but needing to focus inward, almost microscopic, right? Going within, turning within. All of those arrows are pointing inward in order to get perhaps a missing piece, to do her own work, right? What is this 4 of Cups about here? If not some past loss that needs to really be processed through, perhaps some grief that needs to be processed and healed. And yet, with this card of 4 of Cups, there is an emotional security here. She feels secure within her own emotional dealio. So it's a little confusing, this read. I have no problem saying that. But perhaps there are some fantasies going on, some things going on in the mind that aren't quite like, and maybe this is what the soul is saying. It's like, we look a little closer, go inside. Maybe this is a replay of something you've done before, or maybe she believes it's a replay of something that she has done before. And again, nothing here is screaming romantic, sexual, though could be. Let's look at him. Let's see what's going on here. So this isn't feeling very much like a Sagittarian to me, but we'll see. Let's go. Let's ask the Mythic Tarot for him. My gods, breathe. My gods, please. 5 cards. The element spread for this Sagittarian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Well, Nature Child, the Nature Child archetype, divine masculine in this Sagittarian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for May, June 2020. Please, can you please give me the element of fire? What does this Nature Child desire? Element of earth, what does this nature child have to help him get what he desires? Element of air, what is he thinking? Element of water, what is he feeling? Yeah, no, that one didn't feel right. Please, element of water, what is he feeling? Yep, that's the one. and element of spirit, what is the voice of his soul in this twin flame contract. Now remember, this is a teaching thing, so they're learning something from each other and teaching something to each other. So, you know, a child, if they can stay in that innocence of knowing that they don't know, a little bit of humility, they can really learn a lot here. But if they think they know everything, it doesn't go great. Well, what he wants is to be left alone. He's got the card of the hermit there. Not someone in exile, but someone who needs their own space. The god depicted here is the god Kronos, Chronusos, depending on who you read in the spelling. The father of the Olympians, who gets castrated and locked away in Tartarus, sort of the rehab part of the Greek underworld. For a time, right? It's like chronos, time. Like, what's a clock? It's a chronometer, a meter of time, chronos. So needs some time, wants some time alone, which does say whether or not these two are together or not in the same domain, so to speak, the same living situation. Wants to be by himself, wants to make his own conclusions, which can very much lead to this being a parent-child dynamic. Now, this can be a parent-child dynamic in a romantic relationship, because that do happen. That happens more than we'd ever like to realize, right? Unless we work out our parental issues, we tend to replay them in our romantic relationships. Check out Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. Getting the Love You Want? I think that's Getting the Love You Want. Getting the Love We Want, You Want. Not sure about the pronoun there. But really wants to individuate. It's a good word, individuate, willingly, not being kicked out, not being cast off, but wanting to go himself. What's the element of earth here? Ooh, the wheel of fortune, the fates. It's time. It's just time. It feels like, and this card has been coming up in these twin flame readings this time around, because particularly if people are having to stay in the same location with each other, watching my language, then, you know, I think we're finding the pressure builds up, and if the relationship has already passed its expiration date, so to speak, things start to stink, right? As well as to say that it's just part of his fate, it's part of his destiny. Perhaps it's time to move on. No, I feel it. It's time to move on. What is he thinking about all of this? Third major arcana card in a row, the Tower. His mind has been struck by truth, at least, right? Some facade is coming down, or at least he's thinking about it, and this is not going to be a gradual thing. This is going to be a fast thing. Either the realization or the action he takes therein. I gotta say what's going on emotionally here. And the fourth major arcana card, yeah, this divine, this nature child is definitely going through it here. She's only got the one, the Empress, but still a very powerful card. So he's got the courage to do this, the emotional strength to see this through, to do it. And keeping in mind, may really be feeling the call to be one with nature. Like that, nature children tend to feel more safe in nature and not necessarily with people telling them what they do. They tend to be, ready for this? The wild child, like nature. What is the voice of the soul here? Nine of Cups. Now, Nine of Cups is a very interesting card depending upon your interpretation. Often considered the wish card, that the soul is saying you're going to get your wish on this, kid. You're going to find that emotional balance you need even without a partner. I mean, this is the officiation of the wedding of Eros and Psyche. Cupid is the Roman name. Eros is the Greek, so we get the word erotic from. They were married way back in the Three of Cups, but was not sanctioned by Aphrodite, the goddess of love. So, considering that's Eros' mother, she, as a mortal, had to jump through some hoops. Let's just say, read the myth. It's a good myth. But the Nine of Cups here really says that their wish is being granted, although she is still a mortal at this point. That's okay. In the 10, she becomes an immortal, right? So the wish has been granted, but maybe not completely fulfilled and stabilized as it would be in the 10. So it feels like this nature child is going to get what he wants, but he's going to have to kind of move. He's going to have to pick up his bed and walk here. Which does lead me to think that this could be more parent-child. And believe me, like I said, my father was a twin flame for me, and I was a twin flame for him. It's not that we didn't get along. We loved each other very dearly, but there were just certain things that he could not cope with in my life, and that's how he was raised. You know, I had to go off on my own, right? I had to go do my own thing. So interesting, very interesting dynamic here. Not necessarily romantic, sexual, I like to say that. But if this is resonating for you as that, please do comment. I would like to hear that, unless of course you can't, right? You know, I get that. Last card down, right? We've got 12 here so far. Let's do our 13th card. The Healing Mantra deck. We're going to use a Matcon Healing Mantra deck card. So no matter who you are, see, I can totally see a rescuer and a nature child. That the Divine Feminine, again, regardless of gender, may have rescued this child archetype. Maybe in the shadow wanted them to reciprocate, but the child's like, no, no, thank you so much for rescuing me, but I've got to move on. I can see that happening in a non-parental context as well as a parental context. So it doesn't really matter which you are, the Divine Feminine Rescuer or the Divine Masculine Child archetype. This Healing Mantra deck card, if you work the mantra, it will help you heal because the other one can't. Right? That's the nature of a twin flame contract. You teach each other how to heal yourselves. You cannot help each other heal. Let's do this. The Ascended Masters. Please. My Ascended Masters, one card in clarity, just one. For this Sagittarian Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract. For May, June 2020, please. What do you got for us, please? One card in clarity for this Divine Feminine Rescuer, Divine Masculine Nature Child. Embracing worthiness. I feel worthiness filling every cell in my body, and it feels amazing. I love this this card. I've gotten it so many times. And I will say, the first time you do the mantra, you may not feel it, right? What does it say? You may not feel worthiness filling every cell in your body, feeling amazing, but the more you work it, the subconscious really has to take just the idea in for a while to become comfortable with it. And then little by little, the emotions of worthiness pop up, which what does this indicate? There's a self-worth issue here. Probably on both sides, right? Why wouldn't? They're twins. See, people miss that part of the twin flame. They think, oh, they're my other half, which is, what, reincarnational codependence? Try again, right? No, thank you. Hard pass. Embracing worthiness. I feel worthiness filling every cell of my body, and it feels amazing. It's like one step away from Thorgy Thor, who feels incredible. When worthiness dawns, you know that life has a bigger plan in store. You are able to navigate the highs and lows of each moment, aware of a greater cosmic force at play. Worthiness grants you permission to honor all that you are and moves you in the direction that fulfills your deepest passions. And I'm really kind of feeling that for this Divine Masculine. And yet I do have to say, with that card of security there, it feels like she'll be okay. But, you know, with this Four of Cups, kind of feel like she knows he's already going, but finding her way through that. This mantra is ideal for feeling more joy, working through creative blocks, and helping the body heal. Embracing worthiness. Let me pop up the whole picture and we'll see what else we see. Cool. Magic clap. Again, we have the Divine Feminine Rescuer with the shadow attribute, assuming that the rescued will reciprocate, keeps the rescued one needy. The light attribute provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. And maybe this nature child, Divine Masculine, was in crisis, and she did exactly that, provided strength and support, but now it's kind of time for them to move on. Maybe there was a crisis of worthiness here on both sides, and they have both taught themselves. They both learned from this relationship how to give themselves self-worth. Because I could see that then that's what she wants in that Empress card, is to have that wholeness, to be the Divine Feminine in her entirety, to then be a partner to an Emperor. And really, a nature child is usually not an emperor, right? Like, you really don't want to be with a child emperor in that sense, right? A childish emperor. And again, this need not be romantic sexual, but I feel like for some of you it is. And what she has is perhaps here's a good word that they just gave me, emotional fluidity, right? The ability, some emotional freedom, not freedom from emotions, but she has a freedom with her emotions. She can feel things very deeply. And then, of course, I would recommend rest as you go through that, particularly if there is depression. Look at the word deep, rest in depressed, right? To give yourself time to integrate what's going on here. Because then with that Seven of Cups, the jealousy there in the mind might very well be that this child is going to go their own way, is going to have their own adventure, is what this feels like, particularly with the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, the Tower, and the Strength card there, that this is a kind of massive spiritual thing going on for this Divine Masculine. And yet, in her heart of hearts, in her emotional field, she's got the Four of Pentacles, a security. Now, maybe holding on, right? We often see in the Four of Pentacles, the dude holding the coin in front of his chest, sort of almost shielding his heart there. Maybe there is a sense of insecurity here, and feeling secure with this Divine Masculine nature child in their life. But that's why even the soul is saying, look deeper, right? That card of criticism, that if she is losing sleep over this, if her mind is in constant overthinking mode, to really open that heart, have that emotional release, and in a sense rescue herself, giving herself the love, the attention, the time, the space, and the rest that she needs to love herself. Here we've got the Divine Masculine nature child, the shadow attribute, tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. And look, if there's any sort of abuse going on here in the shadow, maybe he bit the hand that fed him. It's very possible in the shadow that this Divine Feminine rescuer rescued him and then became abusive. But I would like to lean more towards the light attribute, that there's a friendship with animals here, communication with nature spirits, that is really still in that childlike nature and really is being called into the wild. Now, whether the wild represents literal nature or just out to be on their own, tricky time to be doing it on planet Earth if they are living together. But if they are not living together, then this might very well be a healthy process of individuation after a time of being rescued, right? To kind of walk on your own. If you carry those who can walk, their legs will wither, something my guides said to me about a decade ago. And he really does want to go out on his own, because what does he want? The hermit wants to be by himself, wants to work things out for himself, wants to climb to the top of the mountain with a lantern, right, and see the light, find the light. It's nice to have people tell you their wisdom, but it's another to garner it for yourself and see it for yourself. The Wheel of Fortune, in his element of earth there, it is definitely time, and this is definitely woven into his fate. But will he attain his destiny or suffer his fate? That may determine how long he hangs out in this relationship that could get steadily toxic. Another one of the T's associated with the twin flame, teaching, turbulent, traumatic, triggery, toxic, right? Could be. And certainly in his element of air, we've got the card of the Tower there, perhaps a lightning bolt of realization of truth that has just changed everything that he thought about this relationship, which then engenders that courage, that strength to go it alone. Courage literally is the strength of the heart. Courage, the French word cœur being the French word for the heart, has the emotional fortitude to do this. Though he may not have had that before, it might be part of his wild nature. Don't blame it on us, blame it on our wild hearts, right? A little Stevie Nicks there for you. And then with that Nine of Cups, the voice of the soul saying, honey, this is your wish. This is your wish. Your wish has been granted. You're going to get what you want. You're going to go it alone, but satisfaction is not that far away, particularly if this is about being independent. And again, we come back to that embracing worthiness mantra. I feel worthiness filling every cell of my body, and it feels amazing. Maybe he's already tapped into that, and the Divine Feminine Rescue is like, well, how come you get to feel amazing? Well, wouldn't it make sense that the Nine of Blades, the voice of her soul, is pointing her back towards her own core, her own soul, her own center, where all of the worthiness is just waiting for us as personalities and egos to breathe in the worth of the soul, which is beyond calculation. So, my Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. I could definitely see the nature child being the Sag here, right? Gotta go, yeah. Where the divine feminine here might be the one sort of being left behind. And again, this could be romantic sexual. This could be an adolescent that's growing up. This could be all sorts of different scenarios. So however this plays out, if you can, if you feel safe in doing so, please comment below, because I feel this playing out like all these different ways. And it would be interesting to see how that's playing out for some of you. Otherwise, wishing the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs the very blessed and the very best in their twin flame contracts, however that may play itself out for May, June 2020, that they may heal, grow, embrace their own worthiness for themselves and for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. Thank you for watching. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment if you feel it. Go right ahead, do that. Otherwise, wishing you the very best and the very blessed for May, June 2020. Hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.